Joining me today is Scott Hill, Vice President at RelaDyne Reliability Services. Scott, thank you for joining us. You and your family really have a long, rich history in the oil and gas industry, which brings me to my first question for you. Can you talk a little bit about your background in the oil industry?
Yes, good morning, Jessica, and thank you for having me. As we think about the industry and my background, I grew up in our family business, Hill Oil Company. It was formed in 1946, second generation. We're a fuel and lubricants marketer with a reliability services division that catered to our high level of industrial customers and our industrial client base. We primarily covered the southern part of the United States. So growing up in the business, coming back to the business, staying involved and wearing many different roles and hats in that kind of began my career, if you would, in the industry as far as the fuel, lubricants, and reliability services.
Scott, can you talk to us about the formation of RelaDyne? What were the benefits to the industry there?
If you go back in 2010, four of the high quality businesses, family marketers, if you would, lubrication distributors like Hill Oil Company, four of them had formed together in a study group and kind of recognized that, hey, the industry of petroleum marketers had not really seen any consolidation. And it seemed like the market was ready for a unified approach, if you would. And so these four marketers came together to form what was the beginning of RelaDyne. That was Pumpelly Oil in South Louisiana, Midtown Petroleum in Chicago, Oils Distributing in Cincinnati, and the Hart Company in Houston, Texas. The concept was that under one umbrella, we could better serve the customer base in a consolidated single platform and allow for our businesses to continue to grow and stretch out and serve those customers for both fuel, lubricants, and of course, reliability services. So the name RelaDyne was chosen. RelaDyne stands for reliable and dynamic. And so from there, Hill Oil Company, we joined the very next year, 2011, just a few months after the formation. I was good friends with these guys, known them from the industry, very high caliber, long-term standing marketers. And so the beginning of that for Hill Oil Company, as I said, we joined in 2011. And from there, I'll fast forward. Since that time, RelaDyne has enjoyed over 40 top-tier acquisitions as we continue to grow our portfolio. And we have our main focus is on lubrication, reliability services, and fuel as well.
Thank you for that background, Scott. We were talking actually since you and I met earlier this year. So much has changed. It's been a very difficult few months for the industry, but also every industry. But what are you hearing from companies now as they face difficult decisions? There's, of course, layoffs, furloughs. There's a lot of challenges that companies are presented with now. What are you hearing right now?
Well, Jessica, as you know, we're in some unprecedented times with both the combination of COVID-19 as well as the drastic fallout of the oil prices. Across the country, it makes you recognize how dependent we are on some form of petroleum. So you have many companies who, for the first time, are having to deal with both issues at the same time. Depending on the specific industry as to what level of severity they've been affected. Many customers are just unsure right now of how long they'll continue to operate with both a reduced headcount as far as their production time. How long is it going to be before they see signs of recovery? And there's a varying degree. Some of our customers are off a mere 5 to 10% as far as their production goes and their uptime, while others are 50 to 75%, and a few are just at an absolute standstill because their industry has been completely rocked. There's just no economic outlook for them in the immediate future until we see some stabilization across many different fronts. So it's literally a week by week, month by month situation for these industries. And the layoffs and the furloughs, it's unprecedented. Many of these companies have never had to face this. They've been, it seems like a year ago, we were just the opposite. They were looking at continuing rapid growth and expansion. And there was actually it was hard to find associates or employees to fill some of those roles. So There's a big disarray right now going on as far as how long this will last and when we'll see, but it's really a day-to-day situation based on the economy and their specific industry.
And Scott, with that in mind, how important is predictive maintenance, especially maybe as you know the industry should be thinking about certain things as restarts begin, as they try to push back to more business and more time?
Yeah, good question. Well, predictive maintenance, as you think about it, uh, predictive maintenance and preventative maintenance are really the backbone of why RelaDyne Reliability Services exist. So we definitely see the importance. I'll tell you now, the level of attention to predictive maintenance, it's at an all-time high, and it'll continue to be at an all-time high as many of these customers really evaluate their critical rotating equipment. What are those assets? Identifying those. How do we protect them? Because their run cycles are completely off right now. There's much more, instead of a planned start and a planned outage, they're up and down right now. They don't know what their cycles are going to be. So it's more important than ever to be more preventive as well as predictive in the outcomes and protection of that critical asset for those plants. So when it's time for them to run, they can have efficient startups and efficient shutdowns to ensure the reliability of those pieces of equipment.
My final question for you, Scott, really is how do you think the industry will move forward from here? I know you mentioned, of course, this is day by day, week by week. What do you see as the path forward from here, though?
Well, I think you're going to see a couple of things. For starters, the utilization of new technology. Again, 1 year ago, there were a lot of different ideas, concepts out there, and it was somewhat as they come around and they're really vetted through, then some industrial customers or plants will take a look at them. Now these devices, technology, they're being pushed to the forefront. So it's of the utmost importance that these industrial clients really utilize technology. And so we're really having to get engaged and take a look at what is out there, what works when you're looking at, a reduced staff, a reduced headcount in a plant, but you still have a lot of equipment that's running, how things can be automated and the predictability to ensure that, the automation is result driven. And then how do you handle those results? What's the after thought from that? What do you do with those results? So utilizing technology is going to be critical on the critical assets and the rotating equipment for many industrial clients, as well as just designing and developing what is the new normal. And what I mean by that, what is the new normal for our maintenance department, our rotating equipment division, our rotating equipment specialists, both in personnel and equipment. Right now, we're really looking, it's a game-changing environment right now. And so developing that new normal of maintenance programs, involvement, outsourcing of certain critical processes that typically had been done in-house. So it's a lot of resetting the standards, if you would, as well as the process going forward. So a lot of changes are still out there, but utilizing technology, of course, is one of them to be the main going forward.
A great take there. I appreciate you sharing your expertise and like you mentioned, making way for technology and a reset of sorts. We'll be following that as we move forward for the rest of this year and into 2021. Thank you very much, Scott. I appreciate it.
Jessica, thank you for having. Enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
For more Hart Energy videos, follow our social media channels.